The motion editor allows you to refine motion tween animations to add more realistic effects like easing. Throughout this chapter, you'll learn how to work with the motion editor to modify your motion tweens. The motion editor should be right next to the timeline at the bottom of your screen. If you don't see the motion editor, you can always go to Window, Motion Editor. To modify a tween in the motion editor, the first thing you need to do is actually select the tween. So I'll select my motion tween and then click the Motion Editor tab to open the motion editor. Usually when you're working in the motion editor, you'll need a little bit more space than I have on my screen. So I'm going to click and drag to expand the motion editor vertically. The motion editor shows the curves of your animation. Right now, it's a little bit hard to see my animation in the editor, so I'm going to modify my view at the bottom left of the motion editor. You can modify your view in 3 ways. The option on the left controls the graph size. So you can click and drag and expand the graphs for each property. Another way is to modify the expanded graph size. Let's say I'm just looking at the X property for my animation. When I click on the X property, the area expands. I can then click and drag the expanded graph size slider to change the size of the expanded graph. Finally, I can change the viewable frame slider to see more or less of my animation. I usually like to see all of my animation, but when I'm fine-tuning an animation and I want to make very subtle adjustments, I like to view less frames at a time so I can get in closer. So in the Motion Editor panel, I can see my animation. On the stage, if I click and drag the playhead in the Motion Editor, I can preview the animation of the sun. See it fading in and moving upward. In the Motion Editor, that's reflected by a graph. In the Basic Motion section of the Motion Editor, you can see the graph for X does not move up or down. It's a horizontal line. This indicates no change in the X property for this animation. The Y property, however, moves downward, so you see this diagonal arrow. Notice that there are anchor points at the right and left of the line. I can move these anchor points to modify the properties of my animation. I'm not going to do that right now. So the main thing I want you to take away from this movie is that the motion editor is a panel that allows you to refine a motion tween.